Good morning. Good morning.
What's up, everybody? It's D-Spin. It's the Morning Deuce. I want to start out by a little small thank you to a ton of support that I got from people after I announced that I was leaving my job to try to take podcasting and my personal development and my website to the next level. Very cool. A lot of people reached out. A lot of people listened. A lot of people had words of support. And it's just little words of support all along that have made me continue to do this. I mean, it's strange how sometimes, like, I've never really judged by the listenership because I know I haven't put the next level of energy in with social media and marketing to really build the podcast. It's sort of just been create good content and people will like it and listen and give you feedback. And sometimes the listenership is really small. And even on those days when it's a little small, I seem to often get someone who I haven't talked to in a while who will just reach out and send me a note. Like one happened last week. Oh, I had to do something that was a little bit difficult and I was listening to something you were doing and it just made things better for me. So thanks for doing that. And it was someone I hadn't talked to in a couple of years. And it was just like, oh, wow. All right. It only takes one note like that on occasion to make you keep want to doing something. Okay. I'm doing something right. But now I'm going to take it to the next level. You guys got to follow me on social media. If you do Twitter, it's at dspin4, like the number, the win, and at hashtagtrenders. That's the website one. I'm going to be ramping it up quite a bit because that's the next level for me, is to up my Twitter game, which is actually okay right now, but it's more about reps, just doing it more. But I'm going to have more videos, more stuff to tweet about. So get excited, get involved because I'm going all in. So thank you for those words of wisdom and those words of support. I'm going to tell you guys. So I've been sitting on this next story for a little while. It's about how I almost became famous, sort of, not really. But it was this month. The beginning of the month was kind of in a weird space. I had to say no to a couple different opportunities and was posting a podcast one night. It was like really late, before getting the Morning Deuce out late at night because I'm up when nobody else is. And I was posting and looking through my Facebook feed as I waited for the video to upload. And I saw a little note from someone who I've known for more than a decade, but haven't talked to in a very long time. And it just said, now casting, looking for, and it listed a bunch of things for a television series. And I didn't even know the person was in casting. I hadn't stayed in touch with them at all. But I just looked at it and I read some of the things. Here, I'll look up the post now. I read some of the things and I started to realize that I sort of fit all of the qualities. So what it said was like looking for journalists, reporters, activists, and correspondents to host a docu-series on a major TV network. People between 21 to 28, comfortable speaking and corresponding on camera, experience as a journalist or interviewer is a plus, must be knowledgeable and well-informed about the issues leading up to the 2016 presidential elections. And a couple other different things, and that was pretty much it. And as I read through all that, I realized, I hit every single one of those. I've been following the elections uncomfortably intently for my job, and I know more about them than probably anyone should. And I've been doing it that way for a long time, been on and off camera. I fit all of the qualifications. So I figured, I already have all of my stuff put together on a website, a little personal website for me, just with some reels that I've worked on, either on TV or segments I've produced, different things. So I figured, I'll just fire it over in the middle of the night and just write a little thing like, hey, I fit these qualifications. I don't even know what you guys are doing or anything. Like, I don't even know if I could be involved, but why not get more information, right? Why not say what's up to this opportunity? And I wake up to 2 missed phone calls and a voicemail from my friend just reaching out saying hello, asking me to call. So I picked up the phone that morning and I called, And we started talking, and her boss was in the room with her, and she was just trying to relay information. And she talked to me about the opportunity for probably 20-25 minutes. Just, what did I do? What was my experience like? All sorts of different questions about how I was involved in television media, and just a little bit more about what I did, because she was reading all of the videos and different things that I had sent her. And so I answered, but I was very guarded, because I have, now ironically I'm leaving it, but I had a pretty solid, secure position at my job and was involved in the elections. I didn't really have any intent in leaving at that time. I wasn't really making the moves the way that I am now. And so I was just sort of answering the questions and not really too overwhelmed. And she started telling me more and more about the opinions or about the process. And I eventually was like, I'm not sure I could leave my job, whatever. And she said, well, I know where you work, and I know the company that this documentary is. What we're trying to do is follow like 7-8 journalists and activists around the country as there's buildup during different events for the presidential election. And we're going to start in August. And we also want 1 or 2 people to host the event. And you do have different qualifications that would probably make you uniquely fit to do something like this. And it would be like 8 to 10 weeks, but you'd be paid really well. I mean, it's a good company. So I was like, okay. And they asked me, we'd like to do a Skype casting interview with you. And can we do it today? And I said no. I was like, I can't. I have work. I haven't planned this in advance. I can't do it. And it was a long weekend was coming up. She put me on hold for like 7 minutes. I felt like 7 minutes. It's probably a lot less. It felt like a long time. Apparently you don't say no to opportunities like this. I have friends who are actors who they said that, I have a friend who hopefully I'll be interviewing, Jackie, who's been on reality TV. And she was saying, if you get an opportunity like this, you never say like, I can't make the casting thing. But I didn't really know what I was doing or what I wanted, so I just said, I can't do it. I have other obligations. And they came back to me and they said, okay, we're willing to change things up. We'll do you in a couple days when we get back from the long weekend. So I didn't think too much about it. Eventually came back for the long weekend. A casting interview is a very strange interview because the person who's asking you the questions, their end goal is to just cut up your responses into a 5-minute sort of highlight tape. And they're not involved in the highlight tape. It's only you, which is weird. If you've ever done a phone or a Skype interview or even an in-person interview, you kind of read off the body language of the person and they ask you a question and you go from there and you kind of know what position you're applying for and you build throughout the conversation. Well, this was very different because I had no idea what I was supposed to be like or exactly what my position was. So I didn't know what answers they were looking for, and I wasn't really getting any feedback from the person on the other end of the computer. So he started to ask me a couple questions. What would I do in certain scenarios about, if I had a loved one who wanted to get an abortion and the state that she was in wouldn't allow it, and how would I react to that, and what would I do? And then there were just questions about me and my life and my parents and my family, all sorts of things. And I started saying, some of the closest people in my life are gay, and I have an adopted brother in Afghanistan, and, my mom had just passed, and I have, my cousin's getting married to another female, and that's coming up in November, and I'm the best man at the wedding, and all of these sort of unique events that are going on in my life, they just started kind of unraveling, and the interview went on longer and longer. And I felt good about what I was saying, but it's weird to get asked a personal question and kind of give insight about your family and your life and not get any reaction from the other side because there's nothing to really play off of. It's sort of strange. But at the end, the casting director seemed very encouraged, which was weird. I asked a couple more questions, and he basically said they want to write up a sheet about you, and they're going to do like a little bio, and could I answer a couple more questions? But they wanted pictures of me without a beard, and I haven't really been clean shaven for more than like a couple days every year for the last few years. So I don't really have any good photos of me without a beard. But there was a great opportunity there. I have a friend who's extremely talented, Ross Niederhoff, and he does photography all the time, and I work with him in other capacities, and he was willing to take all these photos of me. So they needed him within 24 hours. So basically the next morning, I walk in and I'm asking him, hey, tomorrow morning, can you take these photos? So later that day I walk in, can you take these photos tomorrow morning? They really need him. And I kind of have to tell him something, but I don't want to tell him too much. I don't want anyone else to know because, I don't want to spread all this information about the show. And then I get feedback, oh, actually, you don't have to shave your beard. We want you to look just like you did in the interview. So I cancel everything with Ross. And then I get another email at the last minute. It's like, actually, if you can get beardless photos, that'd be great. And we need them because we have to send everything into the network by the end of the day. And Ross is incredible, and I shave my face, and I'm sure if you follow this podcast, you've seen some of the photos. He did the most amazing photo shoot of me with I decided if I'm going to do a photo shoot for this, I might as well just parlay it into stuff I can do for my podcasting and for my website and for my individual personality. And Ross was amazing. So I took the first shaved face photos that I've taken with any intent of anything in years, probably since college. And I felt really good about the way the whole process went, and I sent in all my information, and I guess they sent all my sheets to the network, whatever that means. I don't know what network it is. I don't know exactly what show it is, but apparently it's a huge deal to get sent to network, which I didn't know, but I told my friends, a friend that I had who was acting, and they basically said no one really gets sent to network their first time, and that I should feel really lucky about it because I'll be in the system of the casting company and this and that. And now 2 weeks have gone by. It's the beginning of August. They said they wanted to film in August, and I haven't heard yet, which was sort of a crappy way to end this story because there's a lot of interesting buildup. But going through that experience of what an actor must go through all the time, or someone who wants to play a role in some type of reality TV or be a subject of some documentary, it was fascinating to have a 3-day glimpse into what that is. People are ultra demanding. If they think they want you for something, you have to do everything and bend over backwards just to kind of get all your stuff in. And you don't want to half-ass anything. I didn't want to just take a selfie of myself without a beard. That would have been crap. If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it to the best of my ability. But you literally have to be willing to drop everything and change everything and shoot another, video if you had to. I would assume. I'm lucky I didn't have to present all this information. But it was fascinating just to go through the process. I was surprised how much the face-to-face interview took a lot of energy out of me. 20 minutes so that they could get a 5-minute highlight tape. And when it was over, I felt exhausted because I was just trying to answer so honestly because I didn't know what they wanted. That I was actually really making me think of stuff. There were some heavy questions about my life and my upbringing and what I would do in these very interesting political scenarios. It was very intense. But now I'm guessing they probably didn't pick me. Or, you never know, maybe the show that they, had said was green-lighted, maybe the show got canceled or pushed back, or they decided not to do the special. There's a million things. They could have just decided they wanted to do females, or maybe they want those Jersey Shore dudes who are way more jacked than me. See, if I just lifted weights, everything would be better. If I was just ripped, if I looked like Zac Efron, I'd totally already be famous on reality TV. Just if I was Zac Efron, I'd be fine. But yeah, so anyway, I think it's over. It's been a little over 2 weeks and I haven't heard from anyone. So I'm assuming it didn't work, but it was a really cool process. It was a really cool process to know that I could just look at a Facebook post with social media and then all of a sudden be sent on this train where this opportunity could be presented to me. And that's a very impressive thing about 2016. How quickly we can connect to each other, that there's no way 10 years ago I would ever know about that opportunity. Reality TV was like a baby then, but you'd have to fight to seek that out. And now, I made it to network based on randomly happening to get lucky and seeing a Facebook post in the middle of the night. So that was a cool thing that's been going on in my life for the last month, kind of running that around. And I walked away with some really cool podcast photos, courtesy of Ross. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to fill something out, take a couple steps, and even if nothing happens, you're going to look back on it and be like, I'm glad I tried that. It was kind of fun. It was kind of unique. That's the end of part 1. For part 2 today, we're going to start with sodomy, which I know that's an alarming place to start. It's a little uncomfortable. I understand that. But historically, August 3rd, big day for sodomy. 1982, Michael Hardwick is arrested for sodomy after police officers see him having sex with another man in his own bedroom in Georgia. Right? This sparks all of these events. The district attorney eventually drops the charges, but Mr. Hardwick decides that he's going to go to court about the constitutional validity of Georgia's law. And he goes there along with a straight couple who also are part of the lawsuit because they say that the law was too intense that it, quote, chilled and deterred them from engaging in certain types of sex in their home. So remember, this is 1982. So it's kind of an interesting time because probably building in towards, now we're building up time. By the time it makes the Supreme Court, it's in 1986. So we're starting to, be in the heart of the AIDS epidemic at that point. And, that's a hard time for gay culture and for disease spreading. And there's a lot of stigma about sodomy and about gay relationships at this time. So the case makes it to court in 1986, and there's a landmark decision, Bowers versus Hardwick, where the Supreme Court rules 5-4 that states can continue to put legal restrictions and laws against certain types of consensual sex acts and make them criminal acts. So basically, the Supreme Court ruled the government can tell you how you want to have sex. And this is 1986. How you want to have consensual sex. Because they can tell you if it's not consensual. That makes sense. But how they can tell you to have consensual sex. Well, apparently one of the justices was upset because he thought the issue wasn't can I have sex the way that I want to in my own bedroom, but am I allowed to commit sodomy? And he was thinking about it only as the act, where I guess as the other justices were thinking about it as like a public-private sort of matter. And so he didn't vote in the right way. And another justice eventually said that he regrets his vote, that it was a mistake. It wasn't until June of 2003 that the U.S. Supreme Court overturned a Texas law which had 2 men arrested for having consensual sex in their home. And that reversed that decision. And that's the first time that sodomy actually was 100% legally outlawed in the United States. 2003. So that's more about butt stuff than you probably ever needed to know. But the quest for legal use of the back door began on this day, August 3rd, 1982. So there you go. And then also on this day, August 3rd, in 1492, Columbus started his sail from Spain to try to go west and find Asia. Probably also maybe as big a deal, also probably as important. So basically, August 3rd is a big day in history for adventure, for discovery, maybe for accidentally ending up in a place you weren't originally expected, for sort of poking around and finding a new location, for maybe just the wide-eyed spontaneity of self-discovery and global discovery. So August 3rd. So you go into your day. It's a particularly deucey morning deuce. You go into your day thinking, today's August 3rd. I'm going to discover something. I'm going to go in with adventure. I'm going to go in with eyes wide open. with eyes wide open. That's like a Creed cross reference because that's actually with arms wide open. And it's weird to go from sodomy to Discovery of America to Creed, but I just did it. And that's the end of the Morning Deuce. So goodbye, good luck, and follow me on Twitter. Tell your hot friends at #trenders, at dspin4 number the win. I'm out.